I've reviewed a ton of projectors on this channel, but I really haven't seen something like this ever before. This is the AAXA P400 throw projector, which comes at around $269. And I know it seems like a hefty price, but it does pack a punch. Trust me, you'll see it in this video. So in this video, we'll be doing an unboxing, and then talking about the specs about the P400 and show you some really cool demos and some footage, and then finally talk about my final experience and my final score. So before we begin, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to watch more future content like this. Like this video if you found this helpful, and comment any questions and concerns, and I'll try my best to answer them. So without further ado, let's go right into the unboxing. The box was really nice, and let's pop the box open. The first thing we see is paperwork, a power adapter, a mini tripod that's aluminum if you want to elevate the P400, a remote with a power button, menu, sound, navigation, and playback, which is really nice. Finally, we can find the P400 in the box, and first impressions, it feels incredibly durable and looks really cool. So let's plug this into power and talk about the specs. The P400 is super compact, coming at 4.5 inches by 4 inches by 2.3 inches, which is insanely small, and it weighs 19.8 ounces. So this can fit in your backpack, hand luggage, suitcase, or even your pocket if you really want to. I don't know why, but you can do that. The P400 itself looks very well built when taking a look at the design itself. The top of the monitor is made with brushed aluminum and has touch sensitive buttons on top, which are accented, and I have mixed feelings about it. In a dark room, they are particularly hard to see, and there is no assurance that you've actually clicked those buttons, which is sometimes a bit annoying. I would have preferred physical buttons that were a bit underlit, but this still gets the overall job done. So here we can control the volume, direction for menu navigation, a menu button, an OK button, and finally a back button. The P400 is surrounded by grills on 3 sides, which provide some decent ventilation for cooling. On the front, you can find the LED bulb, which can last for around 30,000 hours, give or take, so this means that you won't need to replace the bulb anytime soon. And here you can find the speaker hidden behind the grill, and to be honest, it's pretty decent. It's better than any other projector that I've reviewed on the channel before, and if you don't trust me, here's some footage. Pretty good, right? But there is a problem. So the way it's designed, the speaker is actually facing the front of the projector itself. But the way you actually set up the projector means that you have to sit behind it. So you see the problem, right? The sound is projected forward instead of backwards, so you really are gonna get a less direct sound. So because of that, I feel like more people would use external audio sources like speakers or anything like that, and I feel like your experience will be much better. Next, let's talk about ports. So the ports on the projector are not all in one place for some reason, but you can find the USB 2.0 port on the right with what I believe are fans, which are actually not that loud when you're actually using the projector. It's a slight hum, but it's not gonna take over your entire space. And on the left, you can find the on and off button, the power input button, a reset hole, an HDMI port, a 3.5mm headphone jack, as well as a focus field, which was the hardest thing to ever move. It was really painful. It hurt my fingernails. It was just really hard to use the focus. I was either way off or not even close. It was really hard to get that perfect focus. So that's a very good area of improvement if you could just make it a little bit loose so it's not gonna be like really hard to pry and create the best focus. And to explain what a focus wheel is, it's basically a way to adjust the focus based on the distance you are away from the wall to get the best clarity. So basically that's the quick explanation. And finally, on the back, you can find the micro SD card slot. You can connect any sorts you want through the HDMI port like a Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, or even a Chromecast. And on the bottom, you have 4 rubberized legs, as well as a hole to mount your projector in the provided tripod, which is a bit janky, but I would recommend if you do have your own tripod, pop it on that. Finally, one of the greatest parts of the P400 is that it has a 39-watt lithium-ion battery built in for about 2 hours of screen time without a continuous charge, which is amazing. This would be sufficient for average movie run times for about 2 hours or less, and unless it's Avengers Endgame or Avatar, you might have to charge it after 2 hours or just use it on power the entire time. I would recommend that. But in the end, it just helps you a lot with that portability and using it without actually having connections near you, which is great. So now let's get more onto the display specs. So the P400 is a 1080p native resolution with the latest generation LCOS imager that helps deliver a clear resolution without the need for upscaling. One of the highlights of the projector is its 0.7 throw ratio, which is basically what you're buying this for, and its short throw optics, which means that it can project up to a 100-inch screen at just 5.25 feet from the wall. And this means that this is perfect for small rooms or even a college dorm. This would be a great thing to add to that checklist. The projector itself has a peak brightness of 400 lumens, which in reality is kind of hitting it low, but it still gets a job done in darker rooms. The projector features an onboard media player and menu system, and here you can see it. So on the navigation, you can see movies, music, settings, photo, brightness, and input source. When looking further at settings, you can actually change up sound settings, options, pictures, and text. More in pictures, you can actually see that you can change the maximum brightness, and to achieve maximum brightness, you will have to be plugged into power the entire time to get that maximum level of brightness, which is still kind of low, but it still gets the job done. One of the big downsides is that the P400 has no keystone correction, which really sucks and is something that I value a lot in projectors. Basically, what keystone correction does is when you're projecting onto a bit of a tilted wall, it actually has a feature where you can physically or even automatically move it to align to that slanted wall to get that flat surface. So it looks like it's a flat screen when looking at it. So unfortunately, this really doesn't have it, but if for some reason it does have a keystone correction button on the remote itself, but my best guess would be that they mass produced the remotes and just use it for multiple projectors. But AAXA really did get my hopes high for this one. I really thought there was keystone correction. So that was basically it for the specs. So now let's move on to my final thoughts and my experience. So I've been using the P400 mainly for watching movies, trailers, and even a lot of video games. I connected my Xbox One X to it, went on a rampage trying different games, different types of games to see how well it matches this projector. And one tip, if you do want to buy projectors like this, always choose the IMAX format if you really want to. You get that full layout of this screen. You can use it edge to edge. If you just use it normally, like watching a YouTube video, you do get those bars, which I personally don't like. But if you have a YouTube video or if you want to watch a scene on YouTube, always choose the IMAX option for the best experience. So now let's go back into the video. So when using the projector, I was able to get a huge screen from not so far away. And as you can see right now with the gameplay, it looks visually stunning. I personally did not use the built-in speakers much because it sometimes rattled a lot when it couldn't handle the bass, which is a small negative. The color pops in this compact itsy bitsy projector definitely packs a punch. I utilized the projector a lot and even tried it outdoors to test its battery function. So not everything is sunny, there are some issues sprinkled around with the projector. So one, the ports were not all in the same place and were kind of spread out. I'm not sure if the decision was to make the projector smaller to be more compact, if that's sort of effective, but it was sometimes really hard to kind of connect all the things I really wanted, and it was all in different places, and I feel like if it was just all in the back, it would just be better connectivity. But the ports provided still work absolutely great. So the second problem is about the speakers. So as I mentioned, it really isn't facing backwards where it really needs to be. That might be sort of hard to do since with the ports and everything like that, but I feel like if you had it on the sides would be much better. It's just that having it in front is kind of muffling that audio, not getting a direct audio. And also the handling of bass isn't really that well. It starts rattling up the entirety of the projector sometimes. And to be honest, the sound quality and it is okay, but the amount of sound you get from it is quite insane. I've actually sit in a room before and I actually feel like it's just a really fulfilling experience with the amount of sound coming. But it's just the infrastructure and the structure of the projector itself sometimes can't handle that. The third problem is that the projector only has 400 lumens of brightness, which is really low in this sort of price point at $269. A little bit would be great, but it still gets a job done if you're like in a college dorm or looking for a really quick projector at a really sort of affordable price. This would be your perfect pick. But if you're looking for a premium high quality projector, this really isn't the one. There are way more options out there, even by AAXA, that you can go check out. And then finally is the keystone correction, which is non-existent in the P400. It's something that would be amazing to add. I would personally love it, and I know a lot of people value keystone correction in their projectors, and it would be amazing if it could be added in future iterations. So obviously all of these cons aren't really deal breakers. They are just some recommendations that could be fixed in future iterations of the P400. So considering the pros and the cons, my final verdict for the P400 is an 85 out of 100. So it's a really high score, and I personally loved it. It was really great in some aspects. Some parts could be definitely improved, but aren't really a huge deal breaker. So if you are looking to buy the P400, I've left a couple links in the description that you can go check out. So thank you guys for watching. If you want to look for more projectors like this, I do have a playlist right over here that you can go check out. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already to watch more future content like this. Like this video if you found this helpful, and comment any questions, concerns, and I'll try my best to answer them. So thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.